They said no more gringos, but now it's no more Americans. Kids found working in weed farms, schools shut down, cities go broke, and through it all, the left keeps defending the chaos. This isn't immigration, it's sabotage. Team, think. Let's break it all down.
Let's look at what just happened at the glass house marijuana farm. Here's what people don't want to see. On the other side, they don't want to see people throwing rocks into the cars of federal agents. They don't want to hear that someone supposedly opened fire on them. They also don't want to learn that there are a bunch of kids there that are undocumented or unaccompanied, and they think this is crazy talk, and we should be focusing on that. For one thing, how did those kids get there?
Well, I just want to add one thing. We do have to go, but the UFW, the United Farm Workers, put out a statement about this. They said the UFW can confirm farm workers were critically injured yesterday during chaotic raids in Ventura County, California. Others, including U.S. citizens, remain totally unaccounted for. Many workers, including U.S. citizens, were held by federal authorities at the farm for 8 hours or more. U.S. citizen workers report only being released after they were forced to delete photos and videos of the raid from their phones. They also added that farm work is exempted from child labor laws. So
you're telling me undocumented?
I'm not saying the undocumented. I'm not talking about
work at a marijuana farm.
I'm not talking about the undocumented part, but according to this statement, in this country, not just at farm, not at marijuana farms, at all
semantics.
Farms.
Look at the reality of what
I'm
we're
just
talking about. How did an unaccompanied, undocumented 14-year-old in the middle of the day?
I believe that, and many people might believe, children should be subject to child labor laws.
Absolutely.
But it's true in this country that when it comes to agricultural work, they're not, and that includes marijuana farms. So the legality of their status is a separate issue, but the fact of children being there is not actually something that is necessarily illegal.
I have a really hard time believing
So there's that. So it's not unusual for there to be teenagers and working in a farm.
A 14-year-old can work at a marijuana growing.
It doesn't matter whether it's a marijuana farm or an apple farm.
A kid can't work at a bar.
It's agriculture. They're not smoking
if that's
marijuana.
The law, that's outrageous.
They're cultivating it.
Changed.
The point is this incident, and we're still learning a lot more about it. Was very dangerous and put a lot of people, including ICE officers and those immigrants, in danger.
Federal law enforcement agents.
I agree with you, but the tactics are producing chaos and violence, and I think that is one of the things that's caused people to.
Who attacked first? That's my question.
I don't, and we don't know.
Well,
we will find out.
It seems like there's
unaccompanied illegal minors on marijuana farms. And she's just casually. And when ICE shows up to do that job, they obviously attack, rocks thrown, shots fired. Didn't want to acknowledge that. Of course, that's not immigration enforcement. That's a riot. And Democrats, they're worried about semantics, as she pointed out. But what are they really protecting? Follow me for a second. Let's follow the money.
I just want to go back to the thing I was most concerned about in reading all of this today, and that's that these little children are found on these farms. I mean, are we really saying here in the year 2025, well, we have to maintain the status quo of illegal immigration in the United States because we need little children to pick marijuana in California? It's like blowing my mind.
No, Scott, I think you're making a really, frankly, it's a very important point. I mean, the fact that young children, immigrants or not, are working on these farms, whether they're forced to because they have to make money for their families, or maybe they,
for whatever here to do that,
or for whatever reason. I totally agree that is something that we as a country need to address. But I think you have to acknowledge that there has been no effort made by policymakers, Republican or Democrat, to address the driving causes of that, which are the employers willing to employ these children. Who is employing a 16-year-old undocumented immigrant?
Yeah,
and
I agree. I mean, one of the farms that was raided, I read, is even a Gavin Newsom donor. I think the governor of California should ask why you're doing these things. And I don't have a problem going after employers.
By the way,
I really don't.
I know you want to make it about California, but it's not about California.
Well, in this case,
there are
parents who are being kidnapped by this agency whose children are literally dying. And so if we're so concerned about children, maybe we should stop kidnapping people while their children are dying and their sole caretakers are being deported by ICE. There are multiple cases where they are kidnapping people out of hospitals.
What does kidnapping mean?
It means a government agency has been given license to disappear people. That is what it means.
What does that mean?
Right.
So you mean an ICE agent takes an illegal immigrant into custody?
We got to squeeze in a quick
but you don't
break.
know if they're an illegal immigrant. That is my point. I don't use that term. You don't know what their status is.
Okay.
And so if you can just come and snatch somebody off the street and say you don't get due process, then that means I'm not a citizen. It is a disgusting thing that we're watching, and anybody who defends it is disgusting and despicable and deplorable when you see.
Look, it's not about compassion. It's about corruption. Gavin Newsom's allegedly, his donors benefit from this cheap, silent, unregulated labor. They want kids working on farms and not going to school. At least this is in terms of the concern that I'm seeing. This isn't humanitarianism. It's a business model. In your community, excuse me, my allergies are going crazy. Whew. The community is footing the bill. They think they're just doing jobs Americans won't do, right? But watch what they're really doing to American infrastructure.
3 men were caught stripping copper from a U.S. cellular antenna site. They are now behind bars in McLean County. Deputies say this happened yesterday around noon, just north of Purcell. That is where these 3 men were allegedly busted by an employee who was there to investigate a signal loss. Deputies stopped them, found 3,600 feet of copper lines in their cargo trailer that had been taken from that tower. They say they also found climbing gear and cutting tools. Authorities believe they may be connected to a similar copper theft near Wayne the night before. All 3 men are believed to be in the U.S. illegally. They are currently on Icehole. 3 men were caught stripping.
3 illegals, 3,600 feet of copper stripped from U.S. What was it, cellular site? I don't even know what that is, if I'm being honest. But climbing gear, I think she said, cutting tools, a cargo trailer. Yeah, this sound like professional theft. That was on some Breaking Bad. Now, ICE got them. Yeah, on Iceholes now. So now it's. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Allergies, everything going crazy with me today, y'all. Y'all bear with me. I appreciate y'all for being so supportive and cool about it. But let's get back to being professional. So no, this isn't asylum. It's asset destruction. And Democrats are giving it political cover. And while they're protecting illegals, here's what's happening to your children.
Chicago Public Schools just announced it's laying off more than 1,400 school-based employees. This includes 432 teachers and 677 special ed classroom assistants. CPS says this is part of its annual workforce planning and budgeting process. Historically, the district says more than 80% of impacted employees have secured new positions within CPS prior to the start of the school year. It's not known if the current $734 million budget deficit will impact that rehiring process. Chicago Public Schools.
For all that funding for illegal immigrants, huh? You see, Chicago just laid off 1,400 plus school workers, right? Including 677 special ed assistants. Man. And why? I can tell you why. Because the city is, I think they reported right here, 734 million in the red. Thanks to spending on illegals. Now look, they'll call it budget cuts, but the truth is they chose outsiders over America's children. That's just the truth of it all, if you ask me. And when ICE finally steps up to enforce the law, the media spins it into something evil.
In shackles. They're scared to even talk.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right there in terms of the music. Because I don't know, copyrights be going crazy. But TikTok activists filming ICE and calling it kidnapping. This is the emotional warfare the left plays. No mention of copper theft. No mention of child labor, just viral videos meant to make you feel guilty for defending your own country. They want you to feel all guilty and uncomfortable and super self-conscious about your decision. This isn't about justice, it's about control for them. And the worst part, this crisis has ICE so overwhelmed, even citizens are caught in the confusion.
One other thing I want to say, too, that I think is really important to paint this picture. When they let us in to see the cages, and we saw people, of course, yelling for help, we even heard in the background someone yell, "I'm an American citizen." They started chanting libertad, freedom, liberty. And I got to tell you, it was very emotional to be there for all of us, to hear that, and to see that our taxpayer money is being used for this stunt. One other thing I want to...
Oh, wow, man. I mean, you heard it. He said he heard somebody saying, "I'm an American citizen." Now, obviously, I don't know. I didn't see that. And I coming from them, it's just, Now, whether it's true or not, I'm not trying to be heartless, but it doesn't matter. The fact that ICE is overwhelmed tells you everything. They're dealing with mass processing, identity fraud, and a flood of border crosses. Thank God that has been, reduced since Trump has been in office. And the left answer is always defund ICE or law enforcement to some degree. Handcuff border patrol. It's insanity and it's intentional. And if you think that was the worst part, let's take you on the inside. The place they're calling Alligator Alcatraz.
They opened the door. There was about 6 security guards standing there, kind of pushing us back, but we could see in and we could hear everybody. And when those doors opened, what I saw made my heart sink. I saw 32 people per cage, about 6 cages in the one tent. I saw a lot of people, young men who looked like me and people who were my age. People were yelling, "Help me, help me." I heard in the back someone say, "I'm a U.S. citizen." And as we were walking away, they started chanting, "Libertad, libertad, libertad, freedom." And in looking into these cages, you could see, of course, it was warm and hot within the tent. People were sweating. Some people had taken off the top of their clothing because it was just so hot. Some of them were drenched in sweat. The food we saw is not enough food. They're being fed essentially a small sandwich and a bag of chips. And not just that, but the conditions outside, of course, it's blazing hot. And the fact that into the cage comes from the toilet. Number one, not everyone's going to be able to drink as much water as they'd like to because of that inconvenience, but also it's gross and it's disgusting. And this is where people are being held.
Let's be clear. 32 people per cage. He's claiming that they drinking toilet water, a sandwich and a bag of chips. And suddenly the left wants to cry inhumane. Here's the truth that they not going to say. If the conditions are that horrific, why are they still coming? You still got the 4% that's trying to cross over. You don't break into a place that's treating you like a slave. And Democrats, they weaponize these conditions for sympathy while quietly pushing policies that invite more people into them. That's not compassion. That is what I call bait, my friend. And what do leftist activists do while ICE struggles to protect our borders? Well, I keep saying struggle. I don't know why. I guess I'm trying to tell a story here. Give the overall point. I'll just say that these leftists are trying to put... This ain't a leftist, actually. My fault. Oh, this guy right here put on the show, y'all. We putting on a show for the leftists. Okay, my notes, I had it written down all weird. Yeah, but yeah, he putting on the show for the leftists right now. Y'all, look at this.
City of Portland, Tom Holman, Alex Stein 99 has a message for everybody. The big booty Latinas stay. The big booty Latinas stay. The big booty Latinas are not to be deported or sent back. Nobody has done more for the big booty Latina in America.
Oh, my God came out there with a pig suit, waving a megaphone, screaming, big booty Latina stay. Oh, man, no, it's something to laugh at, something just to giggle at. I love humor at a time like this. Obviously, you know what side we on. Look, man, if we don't stop this whole issue with these Democrats, we're going to watch America dissolve into something that we can't recover from. ICE is being attacked. Schools are being... Children working fields while cities go bankrupt. And the only people who still pretend that this is all about compassion are the ones cashing out on this collapse. Eyes are wide open. Look, y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.